morning everybody and welcome to another video. Come to one of my local nature reserves this morning, and there's a couple of reasons for that. We've had some absolutely awful weather, and this morning, even driving in, there were some trees down that I've had to move out of the way so I could get the car through on this little lane that I've come through on, even here. But there's been a lot of snow dumped everywhere in different parts of the country, so it wasn't really safe to travel. But the other reason I've come to this particular nature reserve is this is Idle Valley Nature Reserve, and it's the reserve that was chosen because of the conditions here to release beavers back into Nottinghamshire. Now, this is the first time that we've had beavers in Nottinghamshire for probably about 400 years, I think is what they say. So it's a magnificent reserve, and they've got a massive area here. And I will just show you behind me the reserve where they've been released. What I would say is there's a couple of viewing points that you can come to, and if you look on Notts Wildlife Trust website, that will show you exactly where the viewing points are. Other than that, I think it's important to say that you should just leave the beavers to get on with, you know, settling into this place and establishing themselves. Hopefully in years to come, my hope certainly anyway, is that they'll just remove the fences and they'll let the beavers just spread across the country, because I think they're marvellous creatures that do a really good ecological job with the environment. So, but for the present time, you've got two viewing platforms. I came here this morning, I was going to try and get here a little bit earlier, but I got distracted by first a barn owl and then some deer, and I'm also using a new camera that I've not used before, and although it's a Sony, I've got a Sony A7r3, even the small differences in setup and where the buttons are causing me problems this morning. So I've had one or two areas where I know if I was using the A6400 I would have hit the shots, but I didn't this morning, just simply because it's a new camera. I'm just getting used to it. So what I'm going to do today is just to really get around Idle Valley Nature Reserve, have a good look round. I might stay here a little bit just to see if I can catch sight of a beaver. I don't really expect to. I don't think it's the best time of year for them anyway. I think they're more lethargic and don't do as much as they do in the sort of spring. But yeah, it's got good opportunities for popping up here. It's about 25 miles from home, so come up here and do that throughout the year and see if I can get some images or some footage. So I'm going to go around the nature reserve, try the new camera out, see what I can see really, and I'll drag you along with me and we'll see what happens. I'll catch up with you later. Right, so there has been a slight change of plan this morning. I'm used to actually coming to Idle Valley Nature Reserve more. I do a lot more summer visits, I think, and the reason for that is that in the summer I can get here for 5 o'clock in the morning and it's already light or getting light and there's nobody else here. The problem I'm finding today is because we're in the winter and really there's no way of taking any images or anything till 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. It's just too dark, and obviously what happens is we're on a Sunday morning here and there's just loads and loads of people here walking the dogs, riding the mountain bikes, riding horses, just walking, and it is so busy and disruptive, and when you're trying to do wildlife photography, it's just really difficult. So this is a little tip for you actually. What I'll often do is, if I come to a nature reserve and it's like this, you'll often find that very close to the nature reserve there are a lot of footpaths that aren't actually on the nature reserve. But what tends to happen is people tend to, because there's generally parking near the nature reserve, people tend to drive their cars in to walk the dogs, especially something like Sunday morning. Across this ice as another car comes towards me. So what I generally do is I look for these footpaths that actually aren't on the reserve, and what I'll do, I'll tend to head towards those, knowing that everybody else is going to head for the reserve and walk around the paths of the reserve. Yeah, the paths I'm on might be slightly more overgrown, slightly more muddy, but a lot quieter. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm actually going to head towards where I saw that barn owl this morning and the roe deer, I think, just really for a little bit of peace and quiet and just see what I see around really. So I'll catch up with you in a bit. Right, I'm still walking down these paths, and I just wanted to come back to you. I'm surrounded by geese at the minute, actually flying over. But what I wanted to say is that for me, often these little trips are more productive than actually on the nature reserve. I know that might sound stupid, you know, a nature reserve, it's there, it's been set up for nature. But as I said to you earlier, it tends to draw in, so I'm just keeping my eye out on various stuff. It tends to draw in all the people, and then what you can find is these areas just around are more productive, certainly for photography anyway. But I just want to show you here that I've discovered this area, and it's definitely going to be an area I'm going to come back to, because I think it is going to be extremely good for barn owls, and I've struggled with barn owls down near me after all the flooding we've had. But if you just look here behind me, you've got these lovely drainage ditches along the edge of this path, and if you look across here, this is all marked off. I think it's part of the reserve, but it's like sort of out of the reserve, so it's, as you drive up it's there, but people tend to ignore it. There's some water down here, but you've got these massive areas of scrubland, again to be ideal for barn owls. And I've just, you know, as I'm walking along here, I'll just show you down here, I don't know whether you can see this, there's a clear path coming through out of the reserve and then over and through the fencing and this way, so something's coming through this way. So there is obviously a lot of movement to stuff, animals, mammals and birds in the area, so it really is fantastic. I'm really so pleased I came here this morning and just had a bit of a mooch around these areas, because it's just yeah, it's just these areas really that for me hold more of the interest. Right, I've really enjoyed today. It's been absolutely fantastic just to explore a new area, and there's so much potential here. But up until about 15 minutes ago, I thought I was going to go away with nothing. But as I was walking up this track here, there's a piece of scrubland here. It's all nettles and grass, and I noticed a kestrel that was coming up towards it, so I managed to get down. He's still flying around actually, so I might get some more shots in a minute, but he just loves this area. He's coming right back in front of me again. Hold on a second, the problem is I'm backlit, so I'm just going to stick you down there a minute. Right, so he's still hunting in front of me. This is absolutely fantastic. He obviously loves this area, but yeah, I'm losing the sun now, but I've had to shoot actually that shot at +2 on the exposure compensation, simply because it was backlit and the kestrel would have just appeared like a black dot. So it's been really a challenge today, because although this is it's a Sony camera, because it's new, everything's slightly different. I thought I'd set some settings up on it and save them to the buttons on top. Now obviously haven't, so I've been having to do everything manual and change everything on the fly, so it's been quite difficult. But it really is, when you get a new camera, it's just a learning experience. Every time you go out, you improve something a little bit more. So hopefully over the weeks that'll get better. Well, I know it will, but yeah, it's been a real challenge of a day. I didn't think I was going to get anything, but this kestrel's just really made my day, really. It's just come and hunted in front of me for the last 20 minutes. Absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to crack on and see if I can get some more images, and then I'll get back to you. Right, after seeing that fantastic kestrel, and I've left him hunting over his little field there. He's still at it. I've got a feeling we've got some bad weather coming in, so whether they're trying to get stocked up on food before it starts throwing it down or snowing, I don't know. But it is absolutely freezing. I'm walking back the way I walked in, simply because, I don't know, I always get the feeling if there's bad weather on the way, and there's been bad weather yesterday. I saw the barn owl this morning. Potentially they could be hunting now, just because they know that it's either going to be really windy or rainy later on and they won't be able to hunt. So sometimes you do get them out during the day a lot more if that's going to happen. So I'm going to walk back this way just in case. But really enjoyed making this video. It's really nice when you discover somewhere new. Even though this is quite close to the Idle Valley Nature Reserve, it's paths I've never walked on before, and to be honest, it looks like nobody else walks on them either, which is ideal for me. Idle Valley Nature Reserve is fantastic. It's basically a chain of old gravel pits that have filled up with water, and if you love your water birds, it's fantastic. And the birds obviously don't mind people. If they're out on the water, they feel safe. But for a lot of the stuff that I like to photograph, it really does. As soon as the first people walk down the paths with dogs or on mountain bikes, they scatter into the woodland or into the undergrowth, and that's it. So it makes it quite difficult. So finding areas like this is absolutely fantastic. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this video. I will see you next week for another one. Take care until then. Have a great week. See you then.